Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. Today's episode, I wanted to talk a little bit about a topic that I think resonates with a lot of people in the parent loss world. A few things I wanted to talk about, and specifically around judgments, opinions, quote unquote advice from other people, especially people who have not been through the loss that you have been through. And I shared something on social media a few days ago. I shared that if you did not witness my parents passing, then your judgment of my grief process is unwelcome. And I want to extend that. Your judgment, anyone's judgment on my grief process is sincerely unwelcome. The way that I grieve is the way that I live. It's the way that I love. It's the way that I experience my loss. It's my vitality. The way that your loved one grieves, the way that that person grieves after losing a parent is literally them learning how to survive in this world without them. And this video that I shared went viral. I have never had a video reach this many people before, which tells me that so many other parentless children understand what I'm talking about, which makes me feel, one, like I'm not the only one. I know this already. But two, it's saddening that we live in a world where after you have been through potentially the biggest loss of your life, you have to not only experience that loss and that grief, but also carry the weight of other people around you feeding you opinions and words that don't help you. And it's been 8 years since my mom died. And if you are, in your 20s, in your 30s, wherever you are, and you have lost a parent, I want you to know that the grief that you feel and experience literally is love. It's love that you so desperately want to give, but you can't. And this love is so giant and intense and painful and beautiful that it can consume you whole. That it can put you into a black void. That it can also push you to get on a plane and live your goddamn life. This love has the power and the fuel to ignite your soul, to either go down into the darkness or to rise up and touch the sky. And both can happen. And there's no one way is better than the other. There is no you should be going this way, you should be going that way. There is nothing linear about this process or this experience. You need the darkness in order to feel the light. You need the lightness, and you also need to feel the darkness. That's the polarity, the irony of life, the irony of going through grief. So the way that we process our grief when we're in the dark is ours to process. And it's different for everyone. I've talked to people who need to go on walks. I've talked to people who write, who paint, who create art. I've talked to people who need to sing to express their grief. I've talked to people who've turned to drugs to cope with their grief. And there's no right or wrong way. I can't highlight this enough. There is no one way to do it. And when my mom first passed away, yoga helped me so much because there was no more hiding from the pain that I was in. It was me, my mat, and my body, my soul, my truth. And yoga often brings us back to our truth. I learned this as I practice as she was sick with cancer. I learned this after she passed away. That I come to this mat and I can't hide from the trauma that I'm going through, the pain that I feel. And that was the first way that I began to really release and experience my grief. For some, it doesn't look like this. For some, it looks completely different. But for me, my intuition told me, go to that free yoga class that your university offers. Go to it. Go to it every week. And I did. And I cried. I was in a room filled with, I think, 50 other students, one yoga teacher, and I just wept. I always cried in Shavasana. Honestly, I feel that I'm crying for that girl right now because I was a girl. I was 20 years old when 19, 20, 21 when all this was happening, and 21 when she died. And I hold her in my heart so dearly because she was doing the best that she could. And she was following her intuition while being in survival mode, because you are in survival mode when your parent has cancer. You're in survival mode, researching their illness, always worrying, always worrying. There's always just something in the background that is this absolute terrifying fear that's with you. And you go into survival mode. Your brain, part of your brain shuts off. For a year and a half, part of my brain was shut off. And I just had to move and continue on. And I came home one weekend and I remember my mom telling me, jokingly, sarcastically, as she always did, if you drop out of college, I'll kick your ass. She actually wouldn't kick my ass. But she wanted me to know how much she wanted me to continue and stay and how important it was to her. And I did. It was really hard. I'm sure it would have been 20 times harder if I was with her every day, seeing it firsthand. And I saw a lot. I came home every weekend. And it was a trauma that I can't ever explain. It's only a trauma that you'll understand if you went through it. Truly. And that's why I say and I highlight that no matter how we process, it's our way. It's not yours. It's our way because it's our loss, and no one will ever know truly what we went through. No one will ever truly understand what your specific situation with loss really felt like. No one. Even the people who were with you in the room when it happened, in the rooms where it continued to happen, the hospital rooms, the hospital visits of seeing how terrible this disease really was, how awful the hospitals were that were not taking care of her properly. They don't even know how it felt for you. Even being there with you, they have a different experience with their grief than you do. And when yoga, it worked, but I knew there was something more. And then I was in therapy or social work, I guess, because they also offered free social work counseling at my university. I went there, and that saved me too. I don't remember her name, but the woman who sat with me while I cried for a whole hour, telling her more and more bad news, more and more just terrible, sad news about my mom's illness every single week because something just kept happening. This woman just sat there and she listened to me. And she did not say a word. And like some people will be like, what a terrible counselor, what a terrible therapist, I would want them to talk to me. That's not at all what I needed. There was nothing anyone could say to me in those moments that would make me feel better. And she understood that. She looked at me and she understood that this is a young girl who is going through like intense trauma. And I just need to listen to her. She just needs me to hold her in this space and hear her truth, hear her pain, witness it, so that she can carry on. And I think her name was Tanya, and I will never forget the impact that just having her as a sounding board during that time in my life, it still is with me today. You know, and I was like, how can I continue working with you after I graduated college? I was, you know, I didn't have any other type of therapy or counseling before that. But she held me in my grief. She held me in the trauma. And that was the best way, as someone who's going through it firsthand, can be supported. Just, you know, I'm here for you. I don't need to say anything. I'm just going to watch you and listen to you and support you. And at that time, that's exactly what I needed. When I graduated from college, I searched for other therapists, and nothing compared to what I had with that counselor. The therapy that I had was more so talking about it, ruminating over it, them giving me advice that I didn't need, you know, telling me about their experience. Some of them didn't even have a grief experience to relate with me on, which was another thing. If I couldn't relate with you on this loss, then how could you really help me that much? So for me, talking about it didn't work. It didn't work. Writing about it, that was different. Writing about it and sharing it online, that was so therapeutic for me. Because I was a teen who just became an adult, literally just became an adult. And I was terrified of people seeing how much pain I was really in. So every day that I existed in my university with my friends, with my boyfriend at the time and his friends and his family, I existed with a full mask on because I thought they can't handle what I'm going through. They can't handle the thought of it. They can't handle my emotions. People will leave me. I will lose more. I will lose more people if they know how much pain I'm truly in. That guy, my boyfriend at the time, was the only person who truly knew how much I was suffering. And I'm grateful for the support I had from him, like I will be for the rest of my life. But I was wearing a mask. And the grief would eat at me. It would eat at me. It was asking me so desperately to just let it out, to express it. I remember being in a car when he and I went to a bagel store to get food, and I remember when I first lost her, I was looking around and I was like, these people have no fucking idea. They have no fucking idea how bad it can get. And they're all here living their lives and carrying on, and I'm here drowning. I'm drowning. I'm dying. And there was an anger that lived in me so intense at that time. After the shock of her loss wore off, the anger came through and it was strong. And I projected a lot. You know, I did it not in silence, but in private places. I didn't want people to know. I didn't want to burden people. So I kept it with anyone who actually made me feel safe, which was my boyfriend at the time. And The anger was so intense. I'd come home and my dad was also feeling anger. And my dad was wondering why I couldn't support him. He just lost his wife. Who cares that I lost my mom? He lost his wife. And it was so backwards. The anger grew. It grew. It grew. I was feeling so verbally abused when I'd come home. I would fight it. I was always a fighter with my dad since I was a little girl. If something wasn't right that he had said or done, I always fought against it. I've always been this way. It's part of who I am. And anger was festering inside of me. So I come home and he'd say pretty fucked up things to me and I'd lose it. Explosion. All right, I'm bottling all this up. He was doing the same thing. We were very much so mirrors of each other. All right, explosion. Let's do this. Let's release this together in a really unhealthy way. So we did. And then I realized that something I did when I was little, which was my mom would actually invalidate me when I would emote, tell me to go to my room. I'd close my door and I'd scream and I'd cry and I'd dance and I'd sing and I'd let all of this emotion and anger out from my body in the privacy of my room. So I started doing this on another level again. And what was yoga, what was once talk therapy, became something so much more body-based on a much, much deeper level. It was, again, screaming, whether that was in my car, whether that was in my childhood bedroom when I'd come home. It was singing. It was singing songs that my mom, brought me up with, that make me think of her, that would put daggers through my whole heart. It was singing those songs so that I could cry. It was moving my body. It was dancing. It was expression of this, you can't touch me. You can't touch me. You can't hurt me. I'm a powerful being, because there were so many times where I could have let this experience shrink me, but I didn't through my body. I expressed it through my body. I'm taking up space here. And I want to remind you that what is under anger is sadness. So when I let the anger come out through dancing, through shaking, through singing, through all of these things, I cried. I came back to the truth. I came back to the source of where all of this is coming from, which is I just lost my mom. And that was so fucking traumatic. And I'll never be the same again. And there's a hole in my heart, and there's a black void that I sometimes go down, and I don't think I'm going to get out of it. And I live in this bubble. And sometimes this bubble bursts, and all of a sudden it feels like this, holy shit, this happened. But when I'm in that bubble, my day-to-day life, mom's still in the hospital. Mom's still at the Palisades Mall. Mom's still somewhere. But when that bubble pops and the numbness goes away, I go into a black hole. And with grief, it's so intense that sometimes you just do everything you can to suppress it, to distract yourself. But when I did these practices, there was no hiding. It was, you're in pain, Jillian. You're in pain, and you need to feel this. You need to feel it. So when I wrote, that was another way of me feeling and expressing. And I decided, after wearing this mask for so long, through the hardest loss of my life, that I was going to start sharing on my social media. I'm not okay. And that's okay. I'm not okay. And I did. And I shared the raw truth of where I was, where my mom was. And it made people, ironically, I thought it would make people leave me. It made people gravitate to me. It made people want to reach out to me. It made people want to support me. It made people want to better their relationship with their own mom. And the messages that I received at that time in my life, when I was sharing on social media about my pain, the rawness of what I was really going through, carried me through this loss. I mean, people that I've never spoken to in my life that went to my high school or just knew my mom that I've never even talked to were reaching out to me to say, your writing is so beautiful. It's touching something within me. And I'm so sorry you're going through this. And that kind of support is exactly what you want to hear when you're going through grief. So in a lot of ways, and I felt absolutely like terrified every time I shared something like this on social media. There was the feeling of, oh, my truth is out, I can breathe. And then there was the crippling anxiety of, would my mom be okay with this? And now people know more and more about me. And should I have shared this? But at the end of the day, it was actually the thing I needed to do, because I received the support that I would have not received had I not expressed what was going on. It was like me saying, I'm not okay. This is where I'm at. And I couldn't say that with my mouth. I could not say that with my words. I couldn't do it. So I wrote. And even I was amazed at the words that were coming out of me. Like, it felt like artwork was happening. And whenever I meet people who've gone through loss or are going through recent loss, I always ask them, like, how are you expressing it creatively? Because oftentimes our pain and our suffering, it needs to be released in some type of creative, artistic way. Like yesterday, I taught at a mental health event and a woman talked to me about how her brother had committed suicide. And it had happened very recently. And one of the first questions I asked her was, how are you expressing it? And she told me she's an artist and she paints. For me, it was my words. It was writing. And I had so many people ask me to put my writing into a book, which I still am thinking about doing. But writing also really saved me. And I'm saying all of this to say that we all need different things after loss. We all experience it differently. We all need different ways to cope with it. And some of us don't find those healthy ways for a while. And some of us do. I'm not even going to say that I was one of the lucky ones, because it wasn't luck that brought me here. It was a choice that I made. It was a choice that I made to take care of myself, no matter what. Because I knew that my mom would, quote unquote, kick my ass if I didn't do it. And because she raised me to have this fire lit under my ass, that I have no other choice but to figure it out and to find a way. She always found a way. And that is how I honor her legacy, and how I honored her legacy right after she died. I have to find a way. I have to find a way. It was a choice that I made. It was not luck. No one handed me a book and said, this is how you grieve. My mom never talked about what if she died. She didn't believe that it was going to happen, or at least that she even needed to have a conversation about it with me. There was no manual that was given to me. People need to understand this. There is no manual on this. And when she first passed, I was the only person talking about this online back in, 2015, 2016, 2017. I was the only person I knew who was talking about the raw realness of loss. I was writing from my fucking heart and soul, and no one else was doing this. No one else that I could see. Grief groups, yes, they existed online, sort of. I mean, I was part of one, but they were not the same as in person. So I started creating groups that were nearby. But the resources felt so limited. And I had women tell me, other motherless daughters told me, like, you're so lucky. You have so many resources. I didn't have them at my age. I was told to just shut this off. And I'm like, I don't have resources, actually. I don't have that many resources. I'm not lucky. I'm in the same boat as you, in fact. I just lost my mom. I don't even have someone who can take her place. Some people have an aunt or another figure who not takes their place, but just steps in. My mom even had that when she lost her mom when she was 23. I did not have that. I did not have resources. I had to find things. I had to create them because they did not exist. That's what people need to understand. It wasn't easy. There was no manual, and I was not lucky. That was not luck that brought me here. This was my ambition and my survival. This was literally survival. Okay. I just went through the most difficult fucking loss of my life. And I saw things that are going to be stuck in my body and my brain forever that I never would wish upon anyone. The shit that I saw is enough to send someone into like pure suicidal thoughts. Seeing your mom go through that. It is, and I did. I had suicidal thoughts, 100%. I was in and out of it. I was struggling with insomnia. I was taking antihistamines every night, which is so bad for you. Every night, because I could not sleep otherwise. And now I don't take them. But I was taking antihistamines. I was an insomniac, and I had an eating disorder. I had developed anorexia completely because I could not control her health, so I controlled mine to a degree that was not healthy. My mom was losing weight, so I made sure I lost weight with her. So it was not easy. It was not easy. And I'm here now in this place that's so much brighter and bigger and better than where I was. But there was so much that happened between then and now that no one saw, that no one really, really, truly witnessed or experienced with me. So I go back to my first point here, which is you truly cannot judge the way someone is grieving. Even if, they don't express it, they don't talk about it, or they talk about it too much, quote unquote, too much, or they do crazy shit, or this or that. It's their way. It's the way they're processing. The only thing that you can really do is have empathy and say they just went through the most difficult time in their life. They don't need my judgment. They just need me to lovingly support them, which might mean listening to them. Right? So we went really deep, which we always do. And I haven't really shared these parts of my story. But that's another aspect of this that's extremely healing, is telling your story of your loss, which I haven't done in years. And I felt that it was really good for me to do. And I want to say this, that if you are struggling with coping with your grief, or you just are craving a community who will understand you, who's walked this path before, and who's not going to give you shitty advice or make you feel bad for what you went through, the virtual grief circle that I created is definitely a place where you're going to feel safe and held and supported. And you're going to learn all the tools that I just explained, that I went through, that I experienced, from yoga to, dancing, to singing, to shaking. The somatic healing that I'm now certified in is everything that I've put into that membership. So there are resources for you. There are so many resources now. My gosh, I go on TikTok, I go on Instagram, and everyone is talking about the loss of their parent, which is so beautiful that people are being so open. And I just want you to know that this resource is here for you. This resource that will very much so understand you. And if you are a person who's going through grief, I'm holding you in my heart. I know how fucking terrible it is. And I know where it brings you. I know where it can possibly bring you as well. And if you are someone who's loving someone who experienced grief, I hope that this episode has taught you something more about how you can be there for us. And just ask us what we need. Just ask us. Just don't judge us and just ask us. That's all we ask for from you. All right. I am sending you love, and I'll see you guys soon.